Probably like just to chill the fuck out.
This is what you say to me all the time. You're like, I think you need to just calm down.
Like just chill out. Like I think I was just so eager. You remind me of myself in a way. I was just so like I just wanted to achieve, wanted to be successful, you know?
Es Chandra is the CEO and founder of Glide Agency, a Perth-based digital growth partner with 20 years of experience helping brands through strategy, digital transformation, performance marketing, conversion optimization, and analytics. Glide is Australia's leading agency for crowdfunding and capital raising campaigns, having helped raise over $60 million for startups nationally.
Yeah, I would have just said to myself, like, just chill. Everything's going to work out, but just take it slow. Because I was always rushing into things all the time, growing up. Because I started my business when I was 24. I was always rushing, and that led to a lot of issues, So, yeah, just chill out, take your time, and let things flow,
Hello and welcome back to another episode on the Beauty Industry Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Kennedy. Today, I'm joined by a good friend, Es Chandra. He is the founder of Glide Agency, one of the top crowd-raising. Is it crowd-raising or fundraising?
Yeah, capital raising. Yeah, crowdfunding, capital raising.
He's basically the GOAT. He's raised over $60 million, which I find absolutely insane. And the one thing that I really love about his approach to marketing is it's multidimensional. And in a world where there's so many different types of platforms and messaging and trying to understand algorithms and then the clients and the journeys and the businesses we're building, Ez has been able to create his own strategy and system where he dissects each part and it serves a specific purpose at each stage of the customer journey. And so getting him onto the podcast was one of those things because if you haven't gone and followed him on social media yet, go check him out at Es Chandra on Instagram. He's been doing these strategy analysis of all these big brands. He's low-key cringing at me going, oh my gosh. And it's actually been really interesting. Like Zara, you've done L'Oreal.
Yeah.
What are some of the other brands?
I've done like everyday ones like Aldi and, like the main shopping brands, even Tag Heuer and things like that. Some of the high fashion ones. Victoria's Secret, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Of course, Victoria's Secret. You probably love that one. For anyone who doesn't know you, how would you describe your background in business?
So I'm like the school of hard knocks type background. So I didn't do like an MBA and I didn't actually do any business at university. So when I studied at uni, I did like more creative, more multimedia. So I learned about like how to use tools and like 3D animation and like just building websites. I did a lot of hands-on stuff when I was at like university.
And how many years ago was that?
We don't have to say. Let's just say I was in my early 20s.
And there was no AI back then?
No, definitely not. But that was really fun. Like I felt like I was a kid in a candy store, because you had like all of these tools and you could.
What tools were you using?
No.
PowerPoint?
No. We had the Adobe like suite.
Yeah.
But then we learned like 3D animation and like building websites from scratch, like using HTML and stuff like that. Whereas nowadays.
Claude Code.
Now you just get like AI to just build a whole website for you. So I kind of had like a background of everything, from like video editing to like graphic design to websites. And so I had this sort of, like I dipped my toes into everything. So when I started my business, which was an agency, when it came to like hiring or like working with creative people, it was really easy for me to make that transition. Does it make sense? Because I already kind of knew their world.
Yeah. What do you think makes an excellent agency owner in today's world? Because there's so many marketing agencies out there, and I know this is kind of like jumping ahead of your whole story, but in today's world, marketing is so important, right? It's the key thing that is driving awareness, conversions, growing your business. What makes a good marketer?
For the people that you're hiring, or just in general?
Just in general.
I think like nowadays, because we're so fragmented, like marketing is so fragmented, right? There's different aspects of it. If you really want to be a good agency, it's best to kind of specialize. So, some of my friends run agencies that are email marketing agencies, and they're really good at it. And some people just do content and video production. Some people, build websites, and they're really good at that aspect of it. So I think if you're an agency that specializes, I think that's definitely going to be a strength for your growth. But then you'll be more sought after as well. Like bigger brands will want to work with you, and people kind of leave you to do what you do best. You know what I mean? They don't get too involved with it.
When you look back at the marketing strategy that people were using back in the early 2000s versus now, what did old school marketing look like back then? Yeah. And what are we seeing in today's world?
Well, there's a couple of things. So like when I first started, like we were literally like designing, those DL flyers?
Yeah.
Yeah, like we were like graphic designing and then...
Yellow pages?
Yeah, and clients... No. Clients would just let it drop. Like, you just go down the terrace and then you just slip it into, that's how you did business. And it was effective because there wasn't really like, digital wasn't really that strong. But I saw an opportunity because people weren't tracking anything. Like you can't... That was the thing with old school marketing, is that you were doing things. You were getting some business, but there wasn't a way to sort of track like how those conversions were happening. Like traditionally you would do television, you'll do radio, you do newspaper advertising.
Billboards.
Billboards.
There's no way to track the ROI on a billboard.
Well, you can in some ways, but you can't really track it down to, that customer saw that billboard and then they saw that television commercial and then, So it's very difficult to track it down to a specific person. But with digital, like I saw this world where, you could track everything. Like you could see, exactly what phone number they rang. You can tell a lot about the person, and then the whole customer journey and where they converted and how much you paid to get that conversion, So I sort of saw that, and then that was really exciting. So I was right in the beginning of that change when that happened.
And what has been one of the hardest things that you've had to adapt to throughout that transition of more of your traditional marketing through to now social media marketing, and then there's another iteration where we've got AI in the mix?
Yeah, I think marketing is like, it's really intense because it's always changing all the time. It's like if I just went and did an accounting degree or something and I started a business, it would probably be the same. Like the rules and the principles are somewhat the same. Sometimes regulations change through government and the laws and things like that. But generally, like, with marketing, it's always changing, mainly because it's the intersection of technology. So technology is what really pushes marketing to its limits. And if you look at an e-commerce business, for example, e-commerce businesses are they're like at the frontier of technology disruption, you know what I mean? Mainly because everything is online, but the way they optimize their products, the way they drive customers, the way they market to them, and even now with AI, there's just so much disruption. So yeah, you have to be quite resilient. I think that's the key thing, is resilience, and then being able to adjust and adapt and being okay with that. Do you know what I mean? Because some people, they need consistency, they need predictability. And if you're not a type of person that if you can't do that sort of thing, then you need like stability, then marketing is probably not for you.
Well, it's always split testing, right? Like it's not also taking it personally if something doesn't work, because you can put hours of time, energy, effort into this one video, let's say.
Yep.
And it gets 100 views, but then you take this crappy one, like completely unedited, unfiltered, and then it goes completely viral.
Yeah. It is very much it's always on, and it's like you always just got to keep pushing it and then see what sticks, basically. And that's how our agencies worked throughout all the years. We're not really emotionally attached to the color or the aesthetics. I mean, yes, we want nice ads when we pump out campaigns, but we also want to test. And sometimes what the creative person thinks is going to do well, it's not necessarily the right ad. It's something else completely different. Or you think the video will do well, but the static ad performs the best or something, you know? So it just depends on the product and things like that. But yeah, it's a lot of testing and just seeing what the audience resides with. But also you're at the mercy of algorithms and social media and Meta and Google and all of this sort of stuff. So you have to have a bit of a hands-off approach as well.
When you spoke earlier before about being an agency and specializing in something, what is it that you actually specialize in?
That's a good question. I've been asking myself that for many years, Sam, but nah. I would say that like what we specialize in is strategy. So if like because the issue is that especially now more so than ever, there's just marketing is very fragmented. There's so many things that you can be doing. There's so many different channels, like social media, and then there's budget issues as well. Like clients don't necessarily know how much to spend on what channel. They don't know how much they should be spending on a website. You know, if they're using a booking system, what booking system do they use? So there's a lot of things, spinning plates, if you like. So you know, as a marketer, you have to kind of sit back, really listen to the client, what their business objectives are, what their goals are, bring the business element into the conversation, you know, how they're actually going to grow their revenue, and then work out what best strategy, what best channels, what content, and how that's all going to flow, and then build a plan from that and like a roadmap. So that's not necessarily easy. That takes like years of experience, I feel. I mean, we use AI for strategy as well, but there's nuances that humans have and that businesses also have with their particular business and the business owner that you really can't rely on AI to pick up, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's also different when you're having AI just look back on history as a series of events. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that information is so generalized. When you look at a specific industry or a specific business model, depending on like economics and things like that, it can have a completely nuanced result.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
When you look at the main marketing channels, where do you think founders should be investing their time in 2026? And maybe if it's different across service-based and e-commerce and things like that, just give us a rundown for each category.
Yeah, look, I mean, to be honest, like digital has really taken over. Like, you know, I remember back in the day, like, you know, people were spending 10, 15% on digital of their whole marketing budget. But now it's like 60, 70% or more. Or if not all.
And when you say out of your marketing budget, what percentage of your revenue should be invested into marketing on average?
So we work with franchise groups, which are multi-location businesses, and they usually have like at least 5% sort of budget that goes towards marketing, like a pool. Some companies it's like 10%, you know, like if you're e-commerce, pretty much all your money goes straight back into the business, you know.
What about small businesses? Let's say they're doing 50K a month. How much would you?
Well, I think it depends on their gross profit margin, and it's got to be sustainable. As long as you take away all your costs and overheads and operating costs, and your cost for acquisition is within that margin, then you can scale as much as you want. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not losing, as long as you're not losing money. Marketing doesn't work when you're bleeding money, basically. You're spending more money on ads, you're spending more money on agencies, but you're not making enough.
See, this is where I think a lot of people in the beauty industry specifically and service space, they have no understanding of this. And so they'll go spend $2,000, $3,000 on someone who creates maybe like 10 reels for them. And then they try run those as ads. They're very stressed and they need some quick, fast money. So they pour their last $1,000 into the ads account and they're like, oh, ads doesn't work. Can you explain a bit more about why advertising is a long-term game and why you probably shouldn't just throw money short, sharp, fast and then it's all gone?
I mean, look, that is a common issue, what you've just said. Like you do get clients that like you know, they're doing marketing or they've done something for a long time and then they're trying to fix it and then they look for a quick solution. And that is really not a great thing because that's when mistakes happen and that's when you don't make the best decisions with your marketing.
What mistakes are we talking about? Like, tell me
Well,
the
it could
truth.
be. It could. Well,
Is it losing money?
well, look, if a client is at a situation where they're already, really struggling, and like $1,000 is really something that they need to save their business or to turn things around, that's not a great sign.
Yeah.
And not any, it doesn't matter how amazing the marketer is or which the agency that you're working with. That's not really a great way to start off the relationship, and it's not necessarily going to produce success, if that makes sense.
When I look at the whole marketing side of things, it's really interesting because I would say people who don't understand marketing from a holistic perspective, like looking at everything, they might pour a lot of time and effort and energy into creating these ads. But then the whole other side is if your booking system, if your website isn't optimized, then you're actually just throwing money away. Before investing in scaling through marketing, what are some of the foundational things that you really need to have locked in before you actually take that step?
Yeah, I mean, in context of this industry as well, or the beauty or health industry, I think it's like, first you have to know your product and you have to understand who your audience is and why they come to you in the first place, right? So, and then all you have to do is just position your content around that. And then you need to like pick the channels that are going to give you the best return on investment. So usually, predominantly with digital, it's usually Google or Meta.
Yep.
Google is more like they already know what they want. They're searching for it. Like they've got the keyword in their mind or the intent in mind, and they're just searching for it. And it's a low-hanging fruit. So you can just pretty much get people as they're searching. The only thing is you're competing with other businesses that are also using Google Ads, but you'd be surprised. Sometimes there are some certain keywords that people are just not even bidding for, and also the location as well. Location is important. Meta is more like, like your billboard. Like you drive past, you're looking at your news feed, you're scrolling, and then you see an ad and you're like, oh, what is this? And then, but Meta's getting really amazing at targeting because they know everything about everyone.
Oh yeah, it's so creepy.
So, and you notice that, you talk about something or you've got something on your mind or you search something and then all of a sudden you'll see an ad that's related because they know. So like all of these companies are collecting information, and the more they know about you, the better they can give you contextual advertising, which is what social media advertising is really powerful for. So yeah, having, really relevant ads in Meta can also be really beneficial for that industry as well.
So when you're looking at starting advertising, what are some of the key signs that you should actually start? Because I think some people hold back because they think, okay, maybe my organic needs to be better. Maybe I need more money. And there's kind of like the chicken or the egg situation. Like, will this help me scale?
Yeah.
Like, what would your thoughts be around that?
Which channel or which part to start on?
Let's go Instagram, because I would say most of the audience are using Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, like having really good content, really understanding what like things like your hero products are and, why people are coming to you, what your core services are, what sets you apart. But I think branding is really important now, like I think really having a really good brand.
And when you say brand, like some of these people probably think, what is a brand? Is it my logo? Is it my pretty photos or color palette? Like, can you dive a bit deeper into what you mean by brand?
So my definition of brand is not just the logo and colors, which is what a lot of people think. Brand is really a multitude of things. So it's like the experience that people have when they come to you. It's your values, like what do you stand for? Like, is it based on transparency, trust, all of that sort of stuff? Or are you more about like being adventurous? So, you need these sort of values need to come through in your brand.
Totally.
Then like your messaging, right? So once you know what your values are, what's your tonality and how do you want to say your message to the public to capture the right audience? Because you're speaking to people who you want to attract, right? So you have to have a message that matches the way they sort of have conversations. And then there's content. So obviously like making sure that the content that you create is aligned to the brand. Like even photography, if you're taking photos, what type of photos are you taking? Do they match the overall brand? Is it consistent? All of that sort of stuff. I think the the customer journey as well is also part of the brand, you know, like if you say that you're high quality, but then they come to your website and it doesn't give that sense of premium, you know, premium feel, then
Or they don't even have a website.
or they don't have a website. Yeah, whatever. These are just basic things. But like if you say you're something and then you track you pretend you're the customer and then you go through that whole process and then you kind of, well, I went to the website, everything was great. But then when I came to the booking, it was really confusing. And I didn't really get an email to like confirm my booking and the email looked a bit weird, but you know, stuff like that. So you kind of just put yourself in the position of the customer. You know, what you say you are is one thing, but then how you demonstrate it through your brand is the brand experience as well. So
it's a really valid point you make, because when I was hosting the retreat earlier this year, one thing that we do is like go through and act as if you are the customer
100%.
to your partner. And so you go through, you check the Instagram. Does it actually make sense? Like, do I understand what you do? And something that was really common was the whole marketing, the messaging, the imagery. It was almost as if it was like created to impress other technicians or service providers in that industry, not built for the actual customer, the problems that they're experiencing, the solutions that they're seeking. It didn't highlight any point of difference. So you just kind of look the same as everyone else. Then from there, you've got the booking system, which once again, people don't optimize that for the client. How is the first time client going to come here, go, this is for me. Yes, that's what I'm struggling with. Yes, that's what I want. Let's book in.
Yep.
How often do you find this is a common issue within the health, wellness, beauty industries?
Yeah, it's probably one of the key challenges in the industry because, you know, we have clients that maybe the booking system is great, but then they change the website and then they decide to change the booking system and then things stop working.
Should their website list out all of their services, or should it just give a brief understanding of like what they offer in groups and then direct to the booking system?
I mean, the way you kind of put it all together is like the journey, right? So, you know, we talked about Google before. So if someone's searching for skin treatment, for example, or a particular type of treatment, maybe it's PPF hair treatment or something like that.
What the fuck is that?
It's like hair growth and stuff like that. So
this is me thinking like watch protection, PPF.
or like, you know, anything to do with a specific solution. Yeah. You have to create a page that is dedicated to that search intent, right?
So this is where your landing pages or sales pages come in?
Yeah. So someone puts a keyword in, it goes to that page. The page matches exactly how you're seeing it, like from Google search straight onto the page. You have the header, you have some content around it, you have testimonials, you have like maybe some before and after photos, you know, like, so you have a whole landing page that's dedicated to that whole service. And then you have call to actions, and then your call to actions are on the page. So people can contact you on the page, usually an inquiry form or something like that. Or they make a booking, right? And the booking will go to the booking system. The booking system should just go to a widget where you can just pretty much select the date and the time and pay online or inquire, whatever your system is. But it shouldn't. Problem with a lot of booking systems is it takes you to a booking page where you have to you go back to the beginning and then you have to look for the service that you were at the hair treatment page, and then now all of a sudden you've got this whole list of every single service that your salon offers. So yeah, you've just got to like I said, you know, just pretend you're the customer, make it as easy as possible. You know what I mean? I think I did a video on this, which was the law of least resistance, which is basically like what McDonald's does. It makes it so easy for people to buy that regardless of how bad the product is, people just want to keep going there because they know how easy it is to get what they want.
I think that's really valuable advice, because even it's so funny. Like, I have clients that I will actually write their booking system out for them because it doesn't matter how long they spend there trying to act. They're almost too close to understanding all the technical things that they can't actually remember what it's like to not understand those terms or the ways of describing. Like, when I was talking about skin, no one's going in going, hey, I have perioral dermatitis, I need help. They're like, I've got all these red little bumps. It's inflamed, it's sensitive. And so using those key words that your ideal client would be explaining will also help not only with them understanding what it is, but the SEO, because people aren't going to search in perioral dermatitis treatment skin clinics near me.
Or people search by the service because they identify with it.
Yeah.
They already know what it is.
Yeah.
So they're just looking for someone that can do it.
Totally.
So that's the treatment, the service and the treatment. And they also search by pain point. So like you said, if I suffer from dry skin or breakouts or whatever, you will actually put breakout or treatment or clinic. And then that's when you have you can actually list, you'll have your services list, but then you should have pain point list as well. So you list all the pain points that you treat.
With AI, it's really important now that we are investing more into website SEO because that is ultimately driving these search engines. What do you think is the best approach to developing a website now? Like, what are the must-have pages? Where are you investing time and money into your website so it is performing well? Yeah,
look, so again, this comes down to strategy, and this is what we're good at, is so you if you have an industry, if you have a business that specializes in a specific area in health and wellness, you do in-depth research. So you look at the data and then you sort of see what are clients or what are customers searching for.
Where do you get that data from? Because there's a lot of people.
There's Google Keyword Planner, and there's a lot of online Google tools that where you can find this information, or you can go to an agency and they can help you do that, or an SEO specialist. But essentially you have spreadsheets of keywords, and then basically, let's say you have thousands of keywords, which is usually what happens. Then you categorize those keywords into buckets. So the buckets are based on services, they're based on treatments, they're based on, solutions or remedies or pain points. So you kind of put them into buckets.
Yeah.
And then you build your website site architecture around basically addressing each one of those buckets. But then obviously you've then got to look at your business and then go, okay, well, this particular service does really well and it's our most profitable, right? And then this business, we do it, we offer that service, but it's not an area that we really want to scale. So that's where you have to make the business decisions and kind of push the hero products and services to the top of your site architecture so that people don't necessarily have to really dive deep and try and find the service. Does that make sense? For example, we had a midwifery clinic for post-natal and, for mums having babies, and they're a health and wellness center, and they pretty much offer everything under the one roof. It's a brilliant business. But typically what people do is they list everything that they offer, right? But really, what is your hero product? Their hero product was midwifery services, which really should be at the top of the site architecture. So it's easy for people to find, that it's not buried, you know what I mean? It's not buried and they have to go and try and find it. So just things like that, just understanding what your hero products are, what your supportive products are, what your foot in the door products are, things like that can help. Yeah.
Can you explain a hero product, a foot in the door product? Because I know a lot of my audience that would be listening to this, they would probably be struggling because either they're offering way too many services and they're probably not linking, because this is a conversation we had at the retreat with one of our guests. She was offering body sculpting, then teeth whitening, then inkless scar camouflage tattooing, and they were all one-time services and they didn't have that repeat customer base. They didn't have a cross-sell or upsell opportunity. How important is it to find these products and strategically either offer the products or the services so they can work together? Yeah.
There was a game that we played when I went to this business school program in Queensland, and basically it was that ring thing, the ring toss.
Yeah.
And then you got to get it on the
little hook.
Yeah. And you played it so you had one that was close to you, one was halfway, and one was really far. So the one that was close, you could just keep doing it all day long. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing with business. That's how you find your hero product. You just find something in your business that you can just do with your eyes closed. You know you do it really well. People are just going to keep coming back. It makes you the most money. It's what you stand for. It's why people come to you, and you just keep doing it. And then the problem is, I think a lot of businesses, they have a lot of services and they want to offer everything. Do you know what I mean? And then, but that actually just makes it harder, because it makes it harder for the customer to decide what they want, first
And
of
also
all.
it's like, what are you good at? I
Yeah.
think when you see too much option, it's like going to the restaurant. If there's 5 things on the menu, I know what I'm going to have. If there's 500 things on the menu, I'm probably going to have a Menti B and walk out and find somewhere that only has like 10 things.
100%. I mean, I did a video on Aldi, which is decision minimalization, which is the strategy that they deploy, which is basically they have, you know, if you go to the shelves, there's only a few different versions of that product, whereas Coles and Woolies has like literally
You're overwhelmed
thousands.
for choice.
But I don't mind going to Woolies if I know it's the same Woolies that I'm going to. I just hate going to different ones because the layout's different.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Whereas
the aisles, and you have this consistent, I'm going to go here, get my shopping done.
Yeah, that's right. So whereas Aldi's like the same, pretty much like
Kmart as well. They deployed that as well because you've got the exact same walkthrough.
Yeah, I mean, like Kmart's, sorry, did you say Kmart?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kmart's the same.
Kmart in Perth, Kmart in Albany. When I go in, I know as soon as I walk in and go right, it's going to be like cooking stuff, and then it's going to be, I don't know, bed sheets and all of that. And
but also Kmart, they use the Anko products, right?
Yeah.
So Anko is used throughout Kmart. It's pretty much 80 to 90% of their sales. Like it's billions of dollars. And that, because it's only one brand that people are dealing with, they don't have to choose between Samsung and, do you know what I mean? Like if you go to the cooking section and or the appliances, everything is Anko. So you don't have to think about the brand. You don't have to think about the choice of, is this, like if I go to JB Hi-Fi and I buy an air fryer, I've got to think about, is the Philips one better or is the Samsung, you know, like I've got to look, then I've got to do a bit of research, which is fine. Like people like that journey. But then that's why Kmart does well, because they shortcut that.
I remember one time, I can't remember who told me this or where it came from, but I got told there's like 3 types of buyers. There's the, hey, I want the air fryer. I'm going home with this air fryer, like, you know, and then there's the, hey, I'm coming in, I'm going to look at the air fryers, then I'm going to go home, I'm going to research.
Do some research, yeah.
And then there's the, I trust what the specialist says. And so some people have different buying behaviors. Some people love that whole research process and come in and check it, go back home, think about it, then go in again. There's the person who's like, that'll do, don't even think about it, walk out. And then there's the, I need to ask someone, have their expertise help me. When we look at, let's say, skin clinics or beauty brands, and you've done research on Mecca and Sephora and L'Oreal, they've got hundreds of products. Do you think as a clinic or a studio, it's good to have a variety of products, or is it better to have like a certain number of brands? Like how many brands is too much before you start to lose that consumer trust and create overwhelm?
Yeah, I think it depends on like your knowledge behind each of those brands. You know, you don't want to stock a lot of brands, but then you're not able to talk about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not confidently.
And you got to train your team.
Yeah, you got to
do
train
that as
your,
well.
and there's a lot of like, that overhead or that time and energy spent on like understanding the background of each of the brands, and then, you know, training your staff and all that sort of stuff. So I think you've got to, when it comes to that, you've got to pick brands that align to your values again, like align to your core business and what you stand for and how you want to treat your customers and the solutions around them. But yeah, I think that having too many brands is like, it's probably a bit overwhelming, and also depends on how big your store is as well, and how many stores you've got, you know, because if you only got the one store, you don't need to stock too many brands. You can just keep it quite simple.
And also if the brand specializes in something, I feel like that's always good to have as a point of difference. Like if you know that one product works really well for one specific problem, and they're not all just generalized brands, that also shows that you have the trust, you have the knowledge, you believe in the product. You're not trying to offer 3 brands with the same product, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Something that I've always wanted to ask, because I've just recently had my own experience with the whole agency situation. When should someone look at, I guess, hiring an agency versus bringing marketing in-house? And are there maybe specific things that are better for an agency and experts to handle on the high-end strategy side, and then maybe there's an employee that helps with the day-to-day marketing. Like, what are your thoughts around agency versus in-house?
It depends on your budget and your business and things like that. But if you hire someone that's, as you know, full-time, let's just say, that's $70,000 a year, maybe even more, depending on like their skill set. But if you hire someone in-house, you're kind of reliant on them to do everything like a unicorn. And I don't really particularly like that term because it just means that, oh, you have to be good at everything. Do you know what I mean? Which is not realistic. And no one's really good at everything. I mean, if you find them, that's great. But it's very, maybe Sam. But yeah, I'm definitely not good at everything. So yeah, I think like, whereas when you hire an agency, that money is going towards a whole team.
And that team has specialists and
experts. And the
experts.
team's got specialists and stuff. So I think if you hire an agency, you've just got to make sure you build a good relationship with the agency. It's not set and forget. You know, it's like, oh, here's our budget, and then you don't really talk to them or you don't really see them, or you get a report once a month, and then that's it. You have to catch up with your agency. They have to have a plan. What's your roadmap? What's the growth for the next 12 months? What strategies are we going to deploy? Like, what are we going to try this month? You know, like, work with your agency like as though they're like a proper partner, and then try and grow the business together and come up with ideas together. It's not just set and forget. Does that make sense? If you bring it in-house, definitely a good option. Once you've kind of built the business, marketing's working really well, I guess, and then you want to scale, you know, you want to take the business to another level, or you've got multiple locations, you know, and then you might want to bring and start to build an in-house team. That could be plausible. But also if you want like more brand immersion. So like a lot of people do in-house because they want more access to content daily. They want to publish more. They want to get deeper with their brand, you know? And you can only do that with someone that's internal. You know,
absolutely. So, that like real time, this is happening, we're putting it on our stories.
Correct,
it brings the customers on that journey.
Yeah, or you could do like a hybrid version, which is like, you know, having someone in-house that does a few things, but then all the heavy lifting stuff and the data and the analytics and the tracking and the paid advertising campaigns, that's done with an agency because that's a little bit more technical, you know. So it just depends, yeah.
What do you think is the right order to invest in your marketing? Like, would you go organic first and then bring something else in, or is there a right or wrong?
I mean, I think it depends on the business. But for me, it's like focus on the things that are going to generate bookings. So yeah, having a social media account is pretty important in this industry. Having a good Instagram, and most people actually just generate business through Instagram.
Yes.
You know, they don't even need a website, you know, for example. And that depends obviously if you're just starting out, you know, like there's a lot of people that do nails and they just have an Instagram account. That's it. They've got no website, you know. But then you want to get a website when you want to go to that stage where you're paying money for ads and you're spending money on Google, you're spending money on Meta, and you need that traffic to go to a point or a location where you can collect data, you can collect cookie data, you can track people, you can send them to specific landing pages, you know.
So do you think it's better for these types of businesses to be running their ads direct to the booking system or to a landing page, which then they read, they click a CTA, and then that takes them to the booking system?
Generally, it's better to go to a landing page.
Yeah.
Because that way people are more inclined to like read about the business, view the content. That you can put validation points like testimonials and, you know, whatever, like services and treatments. So you can talk about them a bit more, or even a video from the founder. So you can do all sorts of things to like optimize the conversion. Whereas if you just send them to most booking systems, the landing page is not really a landing page. It's just like a widget, and it's not a great experience usually once they get to that point.
See, something I see happen a lot is I do lead generation specifically in Facebook groups, and I've had a huge amount of success with that. And then I take what's worked really well organically and run it in ads so that they're amplified. Now, one of the things that I've noticed is you only sell one specific product to one ideal client, and you're only positioning your messaging around the pain points and solutions with that. Sometimes in the beauty industry or even other industries, they try to sell every single service category that they offer. So when you're running these ads, would you say it's important to have different campaigns set up for different services? So there is that one ad that's targeted towards the one ideal client, taking to the landing page for one service, not trying to say these are all the incredible things we have to offer.
Yeah. I mean, we're doing that for a client at the moment. It's like a hair salon, but they do a lot of other services as well. And their campaign is set up in a way that they don't really know like which campaign is generating revenue for them. So what we're doing now is we're going to put them into categories. So each ad group or ad campaign is targeting a specific service. And then that way, like, the cost per acquisition for that hair treatment or that particular service is going to be X amount of dollars. And the cost per acquisition on this service is not as much. So we're going to put more ad dollars on this one, right? So you can start to see which service area you can scale and that you can actually make money off as well. Like it's going to be profitable. Yeah.
Based on your experience of seeing different businesses within beauty, wellness, hair, what kind of lead generating offers do you see work the most successfully?
I think like foot in the door offers are really good, like to just get them in, because you got to think about a customer as a life cycle value. It's not just that first sale. You want to keep them in for a long time. So I don't necessarily promote discounting,
I'm
but
with you.
yeah, sorry, or offering, but you could probably offer a package, maybe there's something that you offer with it. Maybe you give them a product with that package. Or
do you think consultations work well?
Yeah, consultation, like a free consultation or something like that, where they get a taste of your expertise, before they actually invest.
And how important is it for that to be offered? Because I find sometimes it's like we're trying to promote for the high ticket, high offer, but not everyone's at that journey yet. What are some good foot in the door offers?
Before the high ticket ones?
Yeah.
I think like say the wellness clinic that we're talking to, they offer massage services, you know what I mean? So people can just come in and have a massage and it just gets them into the premise.
Yeah.
And they start talking to people and they start having this experience and they feel the vibe of the place. So just getting them, that's what we call them, foot in the door. So just get them in and experience something. It might not be related to the actual core service, but it could be something that they just get a taste, they get the feeling of it. And brand in business, and especially in this industry, it's really about how you feel. Say, for instance, if it's hair, having a really nice hair wash and dry is such a nice experience, right? It makes you feel good. So you could lean into something like that.
And it's low risk, so it's not like you're having to front up all this money and then put the risk in, have something so permanent that you might not be happy with long term. You build the relationship with the person and then you're like, okay, I'm going to take it one step further.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my color, I'm going to get my bleach, whatever it may be.
Yeah. So I think like when it comes to these things, it can sound very transactional, like when people are thinking about strategy, they think about it on the transactional value, all of this sort of stuff. But really it comes down to emotion. Like people will connect with a brand or a service based on how they feel and their memory of that experience. The smells, the way they were treated, the way they were talked to, all of these things really matter. And that's why people come back.
It's so interesting, like when I compare going into Rolex versus going into Officeworks, it's a very different experience.
Yeah,
you're like in print and copy, waiting in line, they're acting like you're not there. And then by the time you talk to them, it's like, what do you want kind of attitude. Whereas you walk into Rolex, they sit you down, they bring you out sparkling water and they've got that scent and you're just like, you're going to spend money.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting, like even if you look, like I did a video on say Apple and JB Hi-Fi, they both sell the same thing.
But the psychology, how long
but they're so
the
different. Like even the people that work there are totally different, like the people in Apple are totally
I went to JB the other day and I was like, there's no staff uniform here other than the little tag.
Yeah, and you'll notice that people in JB Hi-Fi, they're a little bit different. Like they've got tattoos.
I was
You know,
going to
they're a
say,
bit
they look.
alternative.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
like-
such a nice way of putting it.
Whereas, yeah, a nice way. Whereas Apple's not like that at all. Like you,
Apple, or in the city, Nick and I
Oh.
went the other day. There was one guy wearing these Nike shoes that were worth 25 grand. We looked at them, we were like, what the hell? And then there was another guy with like neck tats. He actually looked like an Eshe. And I was like, that's a bit rogue for Apple. But, you know, that's...
maybe they're trying to push the limits a bit. Yeah. But generally, they all dress the same. They all wear the same shirt.
But then
It's
you go
very
to
clean.
somewhere that's luxury, let's say, they wear a suit, they're very uniform. Like it's
Yeah.
just a completely different perception of experience.
Again, it's branding.
And
yeah.
I find that the same in the beauty industry. Like if you walk in and someone's wearing a tracksuit set, I'm a little bit like, ooh, I'm like, you're not a professional. You're more like my
Yeah.
bestie, and I don't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that vibe.
But also, it's like sometimes, you know, sometimes women, I think, when they go into a clinic, they don't necessarily want to feel like, you know, they have to dress up, for example. So, you know, so if you're,
Totally, I see where you're coming from.
you know what I mean? They just want to go to a place where they feel comfortable just being in their trackies or whatever, but not, you know what I mean? Just
but I feel like the
reasonable.
service provider needs to take some kind of
yeah,
level of pride and presentation.
Yeah.
I've seen some really rogue ones. I'm like, have you washed your hair in the last week? Like, you know?
Yeah.
But I also understand we're all business owners. Like, we're stressed out, we're burnt out. There's so many things to keep on top of. It is a hard one. But I find if you are selling high ticket, the more effort you put in, the more you're going to get out of
Yeah,
it.
and again, it's how really understand your customer and how they want to feel. It really comes down to that, like, and understanding like we do a thing where we do audience profiling and persona targeting, so you kind of like really understand who that person is. So not many businesses have actually done this exercise of actually writing down their avatar. Who's their avatar? Like, what do they like? What are their interests? You know, like what's their age? You know, do they have kids? You know, once you start breaking this down, you start going, oh, like there's an opportunity. Like we did that for the wellness clinic, and they realized that their ideal customer already has a child, that they're just going to come back and use them for the second child, you know?
And to
So-
speak further on that, when I was doing that exact activity with a lot of my clients, a lot of them get really overwhelmed. They're like, oh, but I have people who are 18 and I have
Yeah.
people who are 65. I'm like, that's not your ideal client. Like, that's your target market potentially.
Yeah.
But even with each service or product that you offer, there's going to be a different ideal client because someone who's coming in for a teen acne thing is going to be very different from someone with anti-aging. Someone who's doing the, I don't know, post or like before pregnancy versus post pregnancy. You might be a pregnancy wellness clinic, but there's different stages, different ideal clients. And so don't get caught up in just having one ideal client for the whole business because based on your services and products, there's probably a level of variety.
Yeah. And like a brand that I like to use as an example is like Dome. You know, if you look at Dome cafes, like they're just so consistent. Like every single Dome, it looks exactly the same.
Who would you invite to Dome?
No, I don't like going to the Dome.
When I
but-
think of Dome, I think, okay, this is the place you go to take your grandparents
Yeah,
because you can't think of anywhere else.
Yes, exactly. So, but the good thing about what they sell, what Dome sells, is predictability.
Yeah.
So
Same with Starbucks.
Starbucks
Starbucks
as
is
well,
actually
yeah.
really trash coffee, but you know, no matter where you are, you're going to get your Starbucks
yeah, but at a
coffee.
Dome, you're always guaranteed parking in some way.
Not in the Netherlands
But
one.
but if you walk into a Dome, you'll always have a seat. You never do you know how you go to some coffee shops, you're not sure if you're going to get a place, so you have to wait. There's always a seat at Dome. It's always the same menu. It's always the same coffee. It's, you know, there's nothing, and people like that predictability. Whether it might be low quality or it doesn't really matter. People just want predictability, and they attract those people. So it's the same about your brand as well. You don't have to be predictable and have low quality products, but you have to know what your values are as a brand and what you want to stand for.
I think that's a really great point you make because the other side of that is you don't want to walk in to a massage and one person is so incredible and then you get someone else and they're like terrible.
Exactly. And it happens so much.
Oh,
right?
we
Like-
had that in Vietnam.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going and I'm like, this is the best massage therapist. I've had her, Nick's had her. But then when we did the couples one, he's got the other chick and it's just like not really hitting.
I mean,
the
I
mark.
did down at Applecross, I went for a massage, and it had like 5-star reviews, and I was like, wow, this is great. And I had probably the worst massage like of my life. And I was just thinking, like, that's inconsistency in a way, So I'm confused. My brain's confused. It's like, wait, hang on.
And your expectations are high
Yeah.
because you've seen the reviews, you've read the comments, and then when that's not marrying up, that's probably what makes people so frustrated when they write negative reviews, is because the standard and the expectation was set so high that if you don't meet that, they feel even like more disappointed.
Again, it comes down to consistency. If people are trained consistently to provide a standard level of service, then every time they should be able to execute. Do you know what I mean? And it's not that difficult if you get it right. But I think when you don't understand what those standards are, and then you just kind of, servicing clients and you're just hiring people, but you're not really understanding like the core essence of why people are coming to you in the first place, then that's when things start to sort of fall off a little bit. Yeah.
Absolutely. One thing that I know you've spoken about is how you have this multidimensional approach to marketing. What does value creation through marketing look like for you?
It's kind of the things that we've been talking about, but it's sort of like looking at what core values you want to reflect in your brand, and also the value of what your product and service does. Like we've got a client that they sell pies, for example, but they're pretty massive, and they have multiple stores in WA and New Zealand. They're sort of like expanding. But if you look at the actual pie itself, it represents something. It's not just an ordinary pie. It's like, it's a pie that's predictable as well. It's got a specific type of flavor to it, and people like it for a very unique reason. So understanding your product, why people come to it, the values of that product, that allows you to generate more revenue. So once you understand what your value is of your business, you can actually generate more revenue, because you can capture that value and then target a specific audience or different audiences, and you can make lots more money. Because people don't understand that. They just sort of, create a business and then they sell that service to the same customer again and again. But if you actually understand the core value proposition, you can actually copy and paste that. I did that video on the STP marketing framework, which is positioning. So if you change the positioning slightly, you can attract a whole new audience.
Can you give us an example of what that looks like through brands that have already done this?
An example, I mean, Nike does it all the time. They're pretty good at it. They've got all their different sports, and then they've got different shoes, and they've got their gear as well. But what they do is they make slight tweaks, and they target specific audiences depending on the category or the sport, or, but pretty much, the materials and everything, the way they manufacture is all kind of identical. It's just the way that it's positioned. And
they say Nike is one of those brands that targets the largest size audience because it has very cheap things and it has very expensive. Like, for example, you could buy a $20 t-shirt versus the $25,000 limited edition boots from Back to the Future.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. Like, so yeah, that's probably a great example, because they've got so many niche categories within Nike. It's not like a one size fits all type thing. Whereas other brands, maybe other sporting brands, probably lean more into different sports.
When you look at the power of brands building assets outside of their service or product, for example, community, how is that driving the future of the way that we connect and we consume brands?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and I think it's around commonality and interests. So community can be anything. But for example, like Red Bull's really good at it. So Red Bull they're an energy drink, obviously, but then they sponsor Formula One. They're into extreme sports, but they've built this amazing community of sport enthusiasts. And they're leveraging off that. So now they've created a brand that has a really strong positioning in the market in a niche category, and they can now leverage that. They can tap into that community and they can leverage off that and make money, obviously. So, and it comes down to sponsorships and deals and things like that. So once you tap into that space, that's what I'm saying. You can actually make more money. So even the water can thing that I did a video on, which is liquid death, and like because it's kind of like that extreme version of water. It's not just like a regular water bottle. So that now allows them to go and sponsor music festivals and like certain sporting events. You know what I mean? Whereas if it's a regular water bottle, they might not get that deal or that contract. So just
Mount Franklin at a music festival. Can you imagine? It's not happening.
Yeah, 100%.
But everyone knows the Red Bull tent at a music festival.
Yeah.
Like if we were lost at a music festival, I'd say, Ez, meet me at the Red Bull tent.
Yeah, 100%. There you go. So which we probably have, but
Recently, you've been investing a lot more time into building your own personal brand.
Yeah.
What has been your experience doing that firsthand? Like how long ago have you started?
I started in mid-October. So
run us through what type of content are you making? Why are you doing it? What are you learning?
It's been, like I said, it's been a very short journey so far, but it takes up a lot of time. Like I spend like a day scripting, and then usually it's a day's scripting equals a day's worth of shooting.
And this is why you need to have a team, because your business will run if you
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've got a good team, they run the business, and then I do what our CEO should be doing, which is marketing. And I think nowadays the modern CEO, and there's a video about this on YouTube, which is the content CEO. It's the CEO of the future. And, because we're now in this world where everything is digital and social media and stuff, your content is really, that's what you stand for, and that's what it's going to get you that reach into a massive audience. So, but it's also reputation building, trust, you become an authority in your space, right? So people can like come to you as a result. But yeah, it's been a good process. It's really interesting to kind of create content. I like the creative aspect of it. I like seeing what people say and comment and engage and how they react to certain things. And then that gives you ideas to kind of go and create more content, because it's like a journey. You don't really know how it's going to end up. You just start with something. And then you're like, oh, this kind of got more views. Maybe we should lean into that. You know what I mean?
Do you think it's important to almost have a level of flexibility and not plan out a whole month's worth of content in advance when you're doing
100%.
something like this?
100%. Like, when I first started doing my videos, it was literally like this. It was a camera and I was talking on a chair, talking like that. That was my first videos.
Yeah.
But then you got to try different things. Oh, why don't we try this? Why don't we go walking? So I did a video on Nike and I went walking in a mall, and that got 3,000 views, which is not massive. But then I thought, this is really interesting. So like people are like liking that.
And then you started going viral.
Yeah. So then I did more of that stuff like in settings of places and out and about.
What were the brands that blew up the most when you did an analysis on them?
I think the trendy ones like, Yochi was really trendy. I think that one's probably got like 500,000 views so far. Just one video about Yochi and the purchasing journey.
And how many followers do you have?
I've only got a couple of thousand.
That's wild.
Yeah. But I didn't have any like when I first started. And then what else? Like Ralph Lauren, Kmart, Anko, Bunnings. Bunnings just goes crazy on TikTok for whatever reason.
Can you do a strategy breakdown on like the Bunnings snag?
On the what?
The Bunnings snags.
Oh, the
sausage.
The sausage
bun.
sizzle.
Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely like a strategy.
That's
I actually should do a video.
That is community though. And also it gets different sporting clubs, it gets schools in, it gets people who need to fundraise and get that awareness. Plus it gives back. It's quite smart.
It's smart, but also like if you look at the time of the day people go to Bunnings, it's early in the morning. And they don't have to think about breakfast or whatever. People know that if they go to Bunnings, they can just get a quick snack. There's a psychological or consumer behavior play in that. And it's something that you can get on the fly, but then you also feel good about it because it's going towards a charity. So there's a sense of, I guess, it's like a self fulfilling sort of feeling that you get when you're actually donating to something. And then obviously like, being a hot dog, you don't necessarily have to sit down and, like have a table or anything like that. You can just literally carry 6 things and then have this and then have your kids, and then you can buy stuff for your kids as well. It's relatively cheap. You're not going to spend like $50 on sausages. So, it's just something that you can just do on the fly. So that is definitely a good strategy to talk about. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You have to give me a shout out. You do it.
But it is very much community based, and they're getting the community involved as well. And, so it's very smart.
Coming back to your personal brand, what are some of the lessons that you've learned through posting this type of content consistently?
I think again, it came back to what we talked about before, which is like not being too like emotional about it. And like, there's literally videos where we put so much effort and energy into it and nothing happens. It gets like 500 views or something, and then there's a video that you don't like. There's some videos I've created where I literally come up with the script on the fly, because like we're somewhere and I see something and I'm like, oh shit, I'll just go on my phone and just like quickly come up with a script, and then we just shoot it, bang. And then that one does really, really well. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's just like it's an artistic process, and anything to do with creativity and art, there's no sort of like, oh, you do this, you get this result. It's very hit and miss, and it's just how people respond, and your hooks are really important, like that first 2 to 3 seconds of
like visual, audio.
Yeah, the hook is super important. So we spend a lot of time like working out what hook to use. Sometimes we film different hooks and we test them. Having a good team, having people that like are very much let's go, let's do this, not like overthinking it too much. Because that's content is a process where you just need to go. You have to shoot, you have to go, you just have to pump it out, but not overthink too much.
And also you can't do 50 retakes if they're trying to shoo you out of a shop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think like not be emotionally attached to like, oh, is it the right angle? I'm a bit like that as well, like with lighting and stuff.
God. Like guys, Ez literally kicked me out of my interviewing chair because he's like, is this going to be a problem? And I was like, oh, I guess so. I'll just sit over here. Some people.
Yeah, we all have like our quirks, but I guess there's been many times where I just like so cringe at the video.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is so horrible, but I'm like, fuck it.
The cost of being cringe is also, a step closer towards success sometimes.
And I think that's what's really hard for people to do their content, is to really like let go.
And how do you let go and put yourself out there when you're like, oh my gosh, what if my friend sees this, my son sees this, what if my mum sees it, what if the person that bullied me in high school sees it?
I think, look, to be honest, like I've had a lot of positive feedback, and I think that's what keeps you going. When you go out in public and you meet certain people and like, oh, you're the guy that does those videos, I'm like, that to me is like positive feedback.
You've created this level of connection that you didn't have before as well.
100%. Like, people that just didn't even know you, they just like, oh, or they say, oh, you look really familiar. And then you tell them and they're like, oh, yeah. So it like creates that connection. So I think that, which is why, what's the power of social media, is like you can really build a relationship with someone and they don't necessarily really know who you are, right? But they still connect with you. Like my friend, the reason why I got into all of this is Sev. Big shout out to Sev, he's a legend. And he's a good friend of mine, but like every time I go out with him, someone will always want like to take a photo with him we could be in Melbourne or we could be here in Perth. Like there's always someone that knows him. And that's because of that reputation that he's built, on his personal brand, and everyone should be doing it. Like it's free, it's a free tool. We need to get ourselves out there.
Until you have to pay for the video editors, then it's not free.
That's true. Well, but you can do your own.
Hey, this is why you have kids and you train up your kids and you get them to do it.
Yeah, true. I mean, look, some people literally have a phone, they put it on their car dashboard and they just talk to it and they get like millions of views.
Same thing with podcasting. Like I know some people who have literally just started a podcast from having their earphones plugged into their phone and they're just on the go in the car. Like I think we almost procrastinate on having it so perfect to get started. But the coolest thing is if you start and you're really shit, people will come on that journey with you and see how much you've grown.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like me with this podcast. I was in my studio apartment. I'd rearranged the whole thing. I'd have to put all these blankets up on the mirrors so the sound didn't rebound. And now I'm here and people are like, I've been here since episode 1. It's a really cool journey to bring people on with you as well.
And this might not be the final version. There might be another version after this and another version.
Are you going to get some funding for me? I know a guy.
You never know. You never know. But like that's the process, right? It's constantly growing. You know, like you have to, like we came up with the whole caption sort of, you know, thing lately, and then coming up with different types of videos. You have to always keep changing and tweaking it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think that is the hardest part of business now. Like getting started has never been easier, but staying in business has never been harder because it's almost like you can go register an ABN, you can set up a company, you can start, I don't know, like you can build a service or a product, but then to keep people aware of it, to continue growing it. Like I actually had this conversation with one of my friends and she's an ecom founder, and I just said to her, do you think part of the reason why you're strapped for cash flow is because you are trying so hard to scale? Like the amount of money, like paying 4.3K a month in SEO, then putting, you know, 2K a week into Facebook advertising, like just that constant putting so much money into marketing, trying to scale and then not seeing an ROI. Like at what stage do you realize, hey, we've got to pivot, or maybe this isn't, you know, sustainable for the business long term?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to like you as a person and how you want to feel as a business owner. You know, I've done this agency business for 20 years, but most of that time it was there was a lot of ups and downs. You know what I mean? It wasn't like all sweet sailing. And it was also very stressful, you know, like managing staff, managing people, client expectations. You know, there was a lot of stress associated with business, which everyone goes through. But I think you really got to go back to how you want to feel, right? Because like right now in the stage of my business and where I am and my age and all that sort of stuff, like I want to feel like a sense of calmness. I want to have, like, I'm very in tune with my nervous system. I'm very in tune with like my health and wellness, and like those things come first. You know what I mean? So I want to run a business that matches that, not the other way around. So I think sometimes people are chasing their tail because they're trying to morph themselves or change themselves to meet their business needs, wherein it should be actually the other way around. Like it should be like, what do you want? How do you want to feel? You know, what do you want to experience? And then let the business reflect that, which is really, it can be challenging.
That's really solid advice, because most of the time when you talk to early stage founders, they're saying, I want financial freedom, I want flexibility, and they build this whole business that gives them anything but that.
Yeah.
And so they're working 24/7, they're burnt out, they never have money. And it's like, sometimes you will have to go through those stages. Sometimes you can't just skip them. Like it's part of the journey. But I think the other stage of it is realizing, when do you need to flip the script and realize that something needs to change? And we really experienced this with building Wild West Bowling. So previously, when we had the bowling alley, we had a range of other businesses throughout that time as well. So in that 14-year period, we had a go-karting centre, we had drive-in cinemas, we ran rodeos, we ran a music festival. And so the bowling alley was kind of like that foundational business that remained consistent throughout. And previously, that would only do maybe like $200,000 to $300,000 a year. But that was just my dad, myself, my mum, and my brother working in it. But when we scaled up, we didn't need lots of staff, fortunately, because we can run it off 5 people max, given the way that the business systems are set up. And the bowling lanes are essentially, you don't have to have employees, like they run themselves. But scaling that level of revenue to get to $2 million, and who you have to become, how you have to change your mindset, the systems and processes you have to have in place, like it almost became this conversation where mum and dad didn't want to hire anyone because they're like so scared of it costing more money, because they're in so much debt and that's all they've ever known. But then there was a level where it's like, hey, you guys are 49 and 54. This level of working every single day, those hours, is not sustainable and you will burn out.
100%.
And so when I look at my dad, he's only had Christmas Day and Good Friday off for the last 18 years.
Yeah.
And only the last year, through having employees in the rostering system, like this last time I went down to Albany, he had 3 days to spend with me and it wasn't working at bowling, which was really nice because I was like, I never actually get to spend that quality time. But coming back to the whole thing around how you design your business for your lifestyle, not your lifestyle gets sacrificed to try run the business, and there has to be that structure.
Has to be. And look, I've done both, and I know how it feels. And I've done it for many years, but when I look back, I would do it differently.
But do you think you can build it the same way if you had that balance in the early stages?
Yeah, I think like I probably would be more successful.
How would you do it differently? Now that you have the knowledge, what needed to change?
I think like I sort of it goes into personal development, but there's books you can read on this, but it's all around like the ego. Because like your ego wants control, it wants to grow, it wants more. And you have to set yourself apart from that. So you have to really come back to your authentic self and then like really work out what's going to make me happy. Because you're like a battery, right? Like if you keep running on low, if you keep operating your mobile phone on low charge, you're going to run out of battery. So we're humans are the same, right? So we don't have an infinite supply of energy. We need to be very, very sacred about how we protect our own energy. And the more precious we are with that, the more we can give, the more ideas we can give to the world, the more creative we can be, you know what I mean? The more we can make people around us feel good as well. Like there's no point being a stressful business owner if you're going to be like, terrible boss or mean to your people or your relationships, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who wants that? There's always a cause and effect. There's always a balance, right? There's, so if you try and chase the money, try and chase the success, try and chase the dream, that can come at a cost. So, and that's driven by the ego. So I think a lot of people need to, when you get older or when you get that experience, sometimes if you just build a business that's profitable, it's a certain size and it's doing really well, like I said before, that 4 foot, the ring game, just keep doing it. It's boring. Yep, it makes money, but hey, like I'm living a good life.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think I had that moment of realization like multiple times because it's not just my business I'm comparing to, it's the whole like 8 businesses we've had over the years. And I was almost sitting here, I'd just gone through the retreat, Sydney, Melbourne, I was in this crazy 3 months of this year. And the last week I've just been seeing like one client max call a day. And then I was just waking up. I got back into my training, which I hadn't been able to do because I had no routine because I was traveling so much and tired and all the things. And I had this moment of realization where I was like, oh, I feel like I need to be like scaling or doing something big. And then I was like, no, I'm actually just going to reach out to the people I want to interview on the podcast, spend time sitting down at the coffee shop scripting. And I may not be making as much money as I normally would, even though the world's all doom and gloom, blah, blah, but I'm actually just enjoying this stage of being present and fulfilled by what I'm doing and actually appreciating where I'm at, not just constantly trying to go for the next bigger and better thing. And I think that is really hard when you almost feel safer putting yourself in these really hectic situations because maybe it does fuel your ego, maybe it does give you a sense of purpose or validation, or it makes you feel like you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and you're growing more. But if you're always in that chapter, you'll never be able to reap the rewards. You'll never know when it's enough. And it kind of creates this level of, external success, but there's a lack of internal fulfillment.
Yeah. I mean, you said it right there. It's about being present. And a lot, if you're driven by your ego and your ambitions and your dreams, you're always looking ahead. And then when you get there, you don't feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
Whereas trust me, I've done that before. I've built the agency, I've had the office, you know, the dream lifestyle, everything. And there was a sense of emptiness once I got there. And I've seen photos of me, you know, like from like 4 or 5 years ago, and I look so different, like physically. You know, I was like stressed. You know, like you could see it in my eyes. You know, I had like these bumps that were coming through my eyes. I had to operate to remove them all the time. Wasn't sleeping well. You know, all of this sort of stuff, it like takes a toll on you. And it's sort of like that cost factor that I was talking about. So I think when you really think about life and being present and just doing things that make you happy and that you enjoy, that's always going to give you the energy to keep creating more, doing more, and running a business from a place that is like sustainable in the long term, you know, because it's a long-term game.
Oh, legit. You can't go hard, burn out, hospitalize yourself, and then there's nothing left to give. Like, that is a real
100%.
thing.
Yeah.
There's a book called, I believe it's called Hidden Tax Secrets of the Rich, and it's by Kerry Packer's former accountant. And if you actually read the very last part of that book, it speaks about entrepreneurs and burnout and how a lot of entrepreneurs are actually more prone to experiencing almost bipolar because you're having these massive highs when the business does well, and then you're having these extreme lows when the business isn't doing well. And so what can happen is you've got a higher risk of heart attack, you've got a higher risk of health issues, and if you're not protecting, like you're saying, your energy, your peace, and finding that time to actually step away or build systems that kind of remove that stress, you can be in for some really rough health issues.
Yeah, definitely. Like your nervous system, like it's dealing with fight or flight or stress on a constant basis. Although you don't really visually see it, like that energy is placed into your body.
Yeah.
And it will transmute into your body, and that's why people get diseases and, you know, like, and all sorts of stuff, and they get sick or... So, you know, emotions just comes through our body and it stays in certain parts, and that turns into serious health concerns. So at the end of the day, you got to really you know, your health is the most important thing, because if you can't function, there's no point. Like, what's the point of even being here, right? Like, if we're not enjoying our life, not enjoying like our body, the relationships we have with the people around us, our loved ones, then what is the point of running a business? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Now that you've been through all these different phases of your life, and you've been in the burnout phase, you've been in the scaling phase, you're in the phase you're in now, what does success look like to you at this stage?
I'm a creative person, and I've found that again in the last sort of 6 months, I would say. And I just love like doing anything where I'm creating something. Like, I'm building this Inner Edge workshop program now, where I go into organizations and we do leadership workshops to transition people that are adapting to AI, because that's going to be a huge thing. So I just love building these products and building new things and coming up with new ideas. That's me, you know what I mean?
You're a visionary.
Yeah, like that's my that's when I'm in the sweet spot.
Yeah.
So I just want to keep doing that and see where that goes. I love public speaking. I love, you know, talking amongst audiences and sharing ideas, you know, and distilling complex things into ways that people can understand. That's my, I guess, strength. So yeah, as long as I can just keep doing that sort of stuff, where it takes me, I'm kind of surrendering to the process, if it makes sense. Like, because I don't want to put a business plan in place and plan every single component. I just want to kind of let it unravel, because I feel like when you sort of surrender to the unknown, sometimes it works out better. Maybe not good business advice, but
I get where you're coming from. There's been times where I've been pushing so hard for something to happen, and it's like, it's not happening, and I'm like, there's got to be a reason for this. And sometimes you just let go, and then something better comes along. There's a really great example of this that's just recently done the rounds on Instagram. There was a business owner who had a fragrance company, I believe, and there was an influencer that she'd gone and purchased $50,000 worth of stock for, and that was to do this whole launch. And then the influencer came back to her and said, sorry, I've decided to go with another company. And so she put up this video of her quite vulnerable. She was upset and just explaining like how much this can impact small businesses. And then you look at the guy that does EBT, he's come in and he's done not only like one promotional thing that I think she ended up making $33,000 profit off it. It was like 60K that she ended up. And then he had his Connie's guys do the 15 to 20K. I think it was in donations or something along the lines of that. So she made that money back. And then he was like, if this post gets 20K likes, then I will do a collaboration with her. And now she's doing that collaboration with him, which that was a horrible thing for her to go through. But
it ended up being a positive
It worked
result.
out even better than she could imagine. Like how awesome that, you know, sometimes you might be pushing so hard and you might want that one thing to work out for you. But then when you let go and you just put it out there, sometimes something better comes
Yeah,
along.
exactly. And it's like that you have to surrender and that you have to sort of say to yourself, like everything is working out for my favor. You know what I mean? Like things are working out for me, and just keep positive and keep faith. And that's usually, one door closes, but then all of these other opportunities open because you're keeping that positive frame of mind versus like scarcity, you know, like it's that mindset of scarcity versus like, abundance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, is there one piece of advice that you wish you gave yourself maybe 20 years ago?
20 years ago. Oh, man. Probably like just to chill the fuck out, like not.
This is what you say to me all the time. You're like, I think you need to just calm down.
Like just chill out. Like I think I was just so like eager and so, you remind me of myself in a way, like I was just so like, I just wanted to achieve, wanted to be successful, Yeah, I would have just said to myself, like, just chill, like everything's going to work out, but just, take it slow. Because I was always rushing into things all the time, growing up. And because I started my business when I was 24. So, like I was always rushing, and that led to a lot of issues, So, yeah, just chill out, take your time and let things flow,
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what advice would you give to someone else your age?
I kind of feel like a lot of people my age kind of, I don't want to generalize, but I think they kind of, they sort of fall into the trap of, like that's it, and they sort of let themselves go a little bit. They don't sort of look after their health, or they don't look after their well-being. Whereas I feel like when you get to that second half of your life, that's actually like an amazing chapter because you've got all this experience, you know what I mean? But then you've got the opportunity to like be whoever you want to be and hang around the people that you want to hang around, and like you can create whoever you want to create. You don't have to listen to anyone. You don't get emotionally like stirred up if people like, you know what I mean, drag you down. You're very much at peace with who you are when you get to that sort of that older phase in your life.
Well, I really love this. You've had so much valuable advice to share around a bit of everything: marketing, spirituality, personal brand. Thank you so much for coming on today. If someone wants to reach out or connect with you, where is the best place to find you?
Just connect to me on Instagram, like ES and then space Chandra, Chandra. That's it.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you so much. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment in the YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment section below, because we're trying to grow that. And if you have any questions, send them through and I will catch you for the next episode. Bye.